We're going to be working with the Motorola E4. This version is from MetroPCS and does not feature a home button as other variations do. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, double-sided tape, tweezers, scissors, a heat gun, a hairdryer can work, bicycle playing cards, Q-tips, and some alcohol. Alright guys, to get started, of course, just want to go ahead and pop off the battery hatch. There's a little indentation at the bottom. Just put your fingernail there, pull up, run it around. It should pop right off. If you struggle with this, you can always bring it to me. We'll fix it right. Now, because we are only removing the screen, we don't need to mess with the bottom part. So we're going to pull the battery out, and then we're going to go ahead and remove the 9 screws at the top.
Now, once you have the 9 screws removed, this is where the tweezers will come into play. You'll be able to lift the housing just a little bit on this side, placing the tweezers right at the middle screw hole, kind of giving them a turn, causes that clip to pop loose. Once that is popped loose, you'll be able to lift up a little bit more at that same spot, creating more tension for this clip down here, where you can just gently put in the tweezers, pull it out, and pop, opening the back housing, exposing the board. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and remove the rear camera while we still have tension holding down the motherboard, as there are 2 screws holding it down.
Now, after unplugging all the connectors, coaxials, flex cables, what have you, you're going to want to gently lift at the top of the board, not at the bottom, as the board is still connected to the charge port. There's a flex cable right at the bottom back side of the motherboard. Once you lift up, you'll be able to see it. Use a fingernail, guitar pick, gently pry at the top of it. It'll pop right off. After unplugging the charge port, you'll be able to free the motherboard and set it to the side. Then we're going to step over to the stage where we remove the screen using a heat gun. Now, my heat gun is a lot easier to hold than most. Others are heavy and clumsy. I like this one to easily be able to kind of keep moving. So we're going to heat up this screen. I'm using 250 degrees. Once you get it hot enough to the point it's hard to touch, then you'll use a razor blade to kind of lift that screen up just enough to actually get one of these playing cards in between it. And that's how we're going to separate the adhesive between the glass and the frame. The reason I prefer playing cards is, for the most part, they're heat resistant. So putting heat to the device while I have a playing card in between the screen, it doesn't actually cause the card to fold over and melt. It stays pretty strong. Now, of course, enough heat will cause these particular cards to melt, which they are actually plastic, but a bicycle playing card, you don't see that effect.
Now, the screen actually has a ground for the LCD that actually wraps around to the back side of this frame that you will have to use a pair of tweezers to gently pry up. If your LCD was intact, this is definitely crucial as it will most likely cause you to tear your flex cable. In this case, my LCD is totally fucked, so there was no hope of trying to salvage anything out of it. Maybe the flex cable, but highly doubtful. Alright, with enough heat, you should be able to go ahead and pull that screen off, exposing the backside of the frame. Now, with this phone and a lot of phones made today, the LG Aristo, Stylo, and any of those lines, along with the Pixel and Pixel XL, there is no actual adhesive behind the LCD. It is only around the glass, which is great for cleaning. Sucks for actually getting that screen to stay down. In this case, I use Tessa tape. Most people just use regular tape. Tessa tape is like red tape on steroids. So first things we're going to do is we're going to get all the old adhesive off. We're going to get it cleaned up, and we're going to use some Q-tips and alcohol and make this thing look pretty. Alright, once you got all the old adhesive off and have it clean, we're going to move to the screen and applying the double-sided tape. This is Tessa double-sided red tape. It's a very strong tape, but yet I still will use a press and leave it on there for 12 hours to ensure that the new screen stays down. I use precision cutters instead of scissors to make sure I can cover every square inch of this glass. That way that this adhesive holds under the harshest conditions. After the tape has been placed, we will take the speaker grill from the old screen and put it on the new screen after making sure that dust and debris is clear. Generally, I would test this screen to make sure that it worked first. I've actually already done that in a different cut. I do recommend to do this before you actually put the screen down, as most companies will not warranty it if you've already installed it. Once that grill is in place, we'll go ahead and lift up the screen and install it. You want to put the flex cable gently through the little slot for it and make sure that the ground is also in place, and go ahead and use the adhesive to hold it down. Once that is done, you'll be able to put it corner to corner and actually give it a gentle press, and you'll notice that adhesive locks hold pretty quickly. Once that's done, we'll be able to go ahead and reassemble the device, putting in the motherboard and all other parts, give this a whirl, and see how our repair went. Putting this back together, you got to remember there is a power flex cable for the power button and volume buttons. There is the coaxial for the antenna. There is the flex cable for the screen as well. And there are 2 screws to hold down the motherboard, in addition to that rear camera. Once that is in place, you'll be able to put the housing and then the 9 screws back in. Once that's done, you'll be able to replace the battery, turn this bad boy on, and see what we got. Alright, and as you see, the new screen works, and we're going to go ahead and put this on a press. I did not actually put that in this video. I do apologize. We'll have that in later videos with some iPads and other devices. But definitely, I hope you enjoyed. This is before and after.